Welcome to the Savvy Podcast with me, Helen, and my amazing guests. Every week, we'll be bringing you experienced pet pros and specialist experts covering all aspects of the pet industry. Brought to you by Savvy Pet Spa, the global booking software for pet professionals everywhere. Now let's get this podcast popping. Good day to you, my pet professional peeps. We're here again with another Savvy podcast. Obviously, Savvy Pet Spa is the most popular of the booking softwares here in the UK and in the US now. So myself and my guest, which I will introduce you in a second, should know because we both used it before we retired. So, but let me tell you a little bit about my guest, and maybe you can guess who she is. When I say the name of her business, you'll know straight away. Those who know will know. But right, I'm gonna read it out because there's a lot. I've written a lot here. Okay, so the person today, here's a good clue for you, right? She owns the business Absolutely Animals, which has definitely become a family affair. I can tell you that for nothing. She's a mum, a confidant, an inspiration. Well, badass business bitch, definitely. An industry leader in salon management, pricing, health and safety, and so much more. I couldn't even give you the list of the things that she is like literally storming ahead with. Her career started when she was working in boarding kennels many, many moons ago. I won't ask her to tell you how many moons ago. She now runs an award-winning grooming salon and training centre for both dog grooming and cat grooming. So at the end, we will make sure that is in the links below so you can book in. And I would recommend you book in with her and the rest of her team. She's a powerhouse of a woman. Literally a powerhouse woman, and her career has just gone from strength to strength. She's recently, like me, stepped away from working quite as much and enjoying long, luxurious coffees as she's done this afternoon. She's just been telling me. And she stepped down from her position as well in Big Ed, the British Isles Grooming Association, which I'm sad about, but happy about for her as well. But yeah, she's absolutely massive. She's made relentless steps in the UK to change the face of grooming in general. And I think it would be fair to say that she's made some very, very significant changes. So I am proud to call her my friend, but I'm proud to announce to you that with me today is Heidi Anderton. Yeah. She's modest. Look at her. I'm just like modest. You are. You're amazing, Heidi. You are. So welcome. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for such a fantastic introduction, Helen. That was really lovely.
Well, it's true.
Made me feel very proud.
Oh, that's okay. You're like me, darling. We're like Marmite. People either love us or hate us. So it's like, and I love you. So I'm going to give you the love. You deserve it. You deserve it.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. So shall we jump in and ask you some questions? So I know that there's some interesting questions I've got for you. And the last one, those that have already listened to the podcast will know I always ask the same question at the end. So, and I haven't told you that one. So, you've had no prep for that one. So I know that we know from the intro that you worked in the kennels from a very young age. But that's very different to dog grooming and cat grooming. So where did that transition happen from you working, as a younger person, many moons ago to where you are now?
I initially started in kennels on a YTS scheme. And
wow, the back in Maggie Thatcher days.
And then I had an opportunity to go on a dog grooming course at Canine Comforts in London, which I did. And I thought, I just knew that this is it. This is what I want to do because I felt it was so much more closer with the animals, and I felt I was doing a lot more with them and for them than, cleaning out kennels, which I was very good at as well, by the way.
It's also the important part of their instructions. But yeah, no, I understand that. So you've always had an affinity with animals, and it was just an opportunity in transition, and you just went with it.
Yeah. And then I came back to London, got a job in a dog grooming salon. And then I ran a place for a couple of years. And then I started doing home grooming. So I've got quite a good bit of experience with that. Yeah, so I know the pitfalls and the benefits of that. Yeah. And it was actually my vet that pushed me, promoted me to open my own business. And, he actually canvassed the banks for me as well. So I ended up going on a little business course, and I got my business through the Prince's Youth Business Trust. So that was the route that I took as a single parent then. And I think I was the only one on that course that actually opened a salon. But it was really good for me because it highlighted a lot of the things that you probably don't think about doing that, and actually looking into the future as well. that was really one of the routes that I took. One of the mistake that I made, actually, a lot of people won't know this, is back in that day, there was no internet. So there were two books that we had for the young people that don't know.
Yeah.
The Tom Local and the Yellow Pages.
Yeah.
If you weren't in that, you weren't anywhere. So the business...
You were off the radar. Literally.
You were. The business mistake I made is I opened the business in the June.
Yeah.
It didn't come out in the Yellow Pages till September. So no matter how much I went to vets and pet shops and parks and all that kind of stuff, advertising, it was really difficult getting enough people in for the overhead. So that was a really struggle of a time. Yeah. And then as soon as it went in those books, the phone was ringing.
Difference, yeah. And I think it is about, I think a lot of groomers, I hear this a lot when I do mentoring, where groomers will say, oh, I've done leaflet drops, I give cards out to people, when I pass them if they ask me about anything. And I say to them, your best advert is the 4 legs that leave your salon, and the customer's recommending them, that is your best advert. You can do all the advertising in the world and it's brilliant. But if somebody sees your dog in a park with somebody else says, oh my God, I've never seen my Bichon never looks like that, let customers, get them to, rather than spending money on, don't not spend money on your advertising, but know where to advertise. So rather than spending money because you think Google would be a good option, if you're asking your customers where they heard about you, that's where, if you get in lots of people saying, well, I saw somebody in the park and they recommended me, then, like with Savvy, you can send out blanket messages and go, recommend me and I'll give you 10% discount off your next groom. There's a lot you can do. And it's nice to hear, because I did the same thing when I started at moons ago. It was like, I'll do a leaflet drop because you couldn't do the things you wanted to do then. It's not like it is now. We've seen so many changes in the industry. Massive. It's like, and I think in one way, I think, and you may or may not agree with me here, in one way, I think that the way it was is better, because there's so many avenues. There's so many things you have to consider. There's so many factors within advertising. There's so many factors within making a mistake and somebody jumps onto social media and, slates you when you've generally not made a mistake, or it's just difficult. I think it's harder now to step away from your business at the end of the day.
But there's definitely pros and cons with today's day and age with the internet and the review stuff and everything like that, for me, I think advertising is very important. Yes, they are all walking adverts, but if people don't know about you, they're not going to use you. And so actually, initially, most people look for a groomer, probably never looked before. So, or they've moved or something like that. And what they're going to do, they're going to go to Google and punch in, where's my local dog groomer? And so I think that's probably the first avenue that people need to look at. Because
having a Google profile is paramount in this day and age, but that's very different to advertising and paying for Google ads, which could cost you thousands if you don't know what you're doing. So
you need to find somebody who knows what they're doing. The most important thing as well is, as you get customers, is to ask them where they found out about you. How did they find you? Because that's going to tell you straight away where the best place is to put your money to advertise. And
there's so many different places. You've got TikTok, you've got Facebook, you've got Google, you've got word of mouth, you've got posts. When I first started out, this was back when you used to put cards in the post office and in the shop window, you pay them like £1 for five months or something, and I got loads of work when I started out doing that, and people still do look at them, but they've tended to have changed now to like in stores rather than the old-fashioned shop windows. There's so many ways. And it has to be a marriage of all of them, I think. I like the old-fashioned way because I think it's hard to switch off. For me personally, I think when you've got multiple businesses or you've got a large business, it's hard to not pick up that phone at 9 o'clock at night when you get that text come through because you're worried about paying your bill. That's the bit I
think what people need to do is they need to make sure they've got a business plan. They need to know how many dogs they need. Yeah. And that's going to really tell you how you need to advertise. For me, if I did that kind of advertising, I just wouldn't have enough customers. So I need to use the internet better and employ people to do Google Ads and stuff like that.
I did. I used Charlotte Perot. She did all my social media stuff for me. I didn't have I didn't want to do it. I didn't have the incentive. Not the incentive. That's the wrong word. the drive. That's the word I'm searching for. It doesn't interest me doing that. She'd say to me, I need some video clips. So I'd give her some video clips and then she'd do what needed doing. And then she'd provide it and it would go on my social media and that was fine. And you can link things now like Facebook and Instagram together. So one post covers all of it. But, until I had Charlotte doing it, it was like posting when I could, while being a mum, and it's the other side of business as well is that you've got also the admin side of it that you're doing after you finish the grooms, it's exhausting. It's not for the faint hearted.
I would say if I could go back now and do it all again, I'd make some fundamental changes. Yeah. So they're quite important things to learn about and know and if I can pass them on to people, they're maybe not going to be making the mistakes that I made. I did learn the hard way in a lot of ways. But that's all experience, isn't it? And it all brings you to the point that we are today,
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. And look at where we are. Stepping back from grooming, it's amazing. I love it. So next question for you. What do you think, and this may lead on from what we've just been discussing, is what do you think are the biggest mistakes that groomers make in business today?
That's an easy one.
I know what you can say.
Because I've done quite a few seminars and talks and stuff like that. And one of the worst things that they're not doing is having business plans. They're not projecting and they are not including pensions, holidays and sick days in their costings. And so it's so detrimental because actually that really inhibits the growth of business and it makes them tired, and it burn out so much more quickly,
Yeah, absolutely. 100% agree. You start grooming because you enjoy grooming and because you want to make a difference to those pets and you want to, use your artistic interpretation to provide the groups that you want to provide, and people will come to you for a specific niche in grooming if that's what you offer. But if you're not earning enough money or you've not got the right boundaries or you've not got the right business model, you're not going to succeed. Well, that's not true. You'll succeed, but you'll succeed on your knees. And that's no way to succeed.
I think you have to seriously ask yourself what kind of business you want. Are you, because, I've taught people for years and a lot of people want different things out of it. So I think you have to be honest with yourself. What do you want out of it? Do you actually want to make a business out of this that maybe you can sell later on or you can pass on to somebody else? Or are you just making enough money to enhance a wage in a house and something to do in the day? These are really questions you've got to be honest to yourself about. And you have to plan to that effect.
Yeah, and there's no wrong answer. There's a marketing within this industry for everybody. I genuinely believe that, a groomer that maybe wants to groom 2 or 3 dogs a week, on a Thursday afternoon because that's her free day or his free day, that's absolutely fine too. There's no judgment in grooming. There shouldn't be any judgment in grooming. There should be support and there should be celebration. And I think that's lacking in our industry. I really do. But along with that growth, if you want to grow, whether you are an in-home groomer, where you rock up to somebody's house and take your equipment in, you're mobile or you've got multiple salons or one salon, I don't care. You need to be able to grow with your business. And that doesn't necessarily mean financial growth. I'm talking about skill sets and learning and knowing that, insurance companies require certain things. And if they're not where they need to be, when you try to claim, they're going to go no, because they're there to not pay you. They don't want to pay you money back. And the insurance companies are not there to be your friend.
It's not.
But they're not. They'll pay you if you cover everything. The best. But they will ask you things like, did you have, your dryer's blown up and you've burnt your hand? When was it last pat tested? Yeah. If you can't provide that information, they're going to go, well, sorry, I don't care if you can't work for the next 9 years, but I'm not paying you. So those things come with education.
Kind of fair enough, though, isn't it, really? I mean, this is education and 100%. It's so important that you don't underinsure yourself and you make sure that actually all the legalities are met. So that if something does happen, you're not going to come up with that situation,
Absolutely. It's like having cost sheets available. I know groomers that have cost sheets available for all of their products they use on the dog, but they then don't have them available for the products used to clean. And I'm like, you need them for all of it, There's lots of little things like that. And again, I know you're a massive advocate for education, so am I. That comes with education. And that education comes from different avenues. I'm not promoting one over another, but I think you have to continuously learn because it's such a transient profession. It is, all we want to do is provide a nice groom and do what we do and enjoy it. And there is people will often look at, the potential new legislation or insurance or qualifications as almost like blockers, and they're not. They're there to protect you. They're there for you. They're there to benefit you. And the information is there. So yeah, it is. So I agree with you. I do think that getting a good business model is the right thing to do. And I did it the wrong way around as well. I did it the hard way. So
I think when a lot of groomers, they're passionate about the animals and the grooming. So that's the direction they're coming from. And that's really what they're focusing on. They're not really focusing on business and all the other stuff that comes with that. And that is a mistake. I mean, I came from that way. For me, it was about working with the animals and making their life nice and stuff like that. But as I've gone along, I've actually realised that the education and health and safety and the staff contracts and all that kind of stuff is really underpinning of the business, and that helps us to have longevity in the business and to move on and to improve all the time.
And protects your business as well. Business protection is important, and that isn't just about having good insurance. Yeah. It's not the only thing that protects your business. Sometimes your business, even if you don't do the best grooms in the world, the fact that you offer the most secure and pleasant journey for a pet will push you to the forefront. It's not about making fluffy clouds and, wonderful colour dyeing and all the rest of it. Most groomers are in corporate grooming. And when they look to, and there is a market for him, I love watching beautiful grooms. There's nothing nicer. But when you get these young groomers that had the correct training, that look at these, influential groomers that are providing these wonderful and beautiful grooms, they think they can repeat that. And it's not as easy as that, and that's, I think, where the celebration is wrong or lacking in our industry. Those groomers that are influential, be influential, but give these new groomers, these people or older groomers that want to know more, give them the info, celebrate them as well.
I mean, I think that the influential groomers, competitors, or people online who are doing these really nice grooms, that's what we should be aspiring to. I mean, we aspire to the dogs going out of our salon to look like that, and it's not that those dogs look like that because of time really or anything, but it's because of the skill that goes into it. And actually that training and skill doesn't have to be long, doesn't have to take long. It's just about knowing where to put the right cuts or the right shapings to enhance that groom. You're
not going to learn that skill if you don't seek out the information to learn that skill and get the training. You're not going to get it.
Our students start, and I say to them, this is your foundations, and now you still need to go for training. And a lot of people, they don't carry on with the training, so they just get the basics and then they stop. But it's not really enough, because you do need to keep going back and reviewing what you're doing and enhancing it, and that, for me, that's where competitive groomers are inspiring, really, and why the competitions are a great place to go and look at these to find the trainers and want to, simulate what those people are doing, and so that you're making better walking adverts at the end of the day, aren't you? So,
but when you see these lovely finished grooms, and I'm not knocking, I think my not my issue, or when you see my problem, but I think the bit that I think is concerning is when people spend their entire time just scrolling on, social media. They're not really looking at research. They go, look, I'm going to try that groom. Do it. Try your grooms, but look at what the content is. Most reputable influencers will have the equipment they use, the products they use, below. They'll have it written somewhere. And often, you'll see people not looking at those. They won't, they'll watch, they'll listen, but they don't actually hear what they're saying. And I think that's the bit that I worry about with social media. I'm not anti-social media. I love social media. I'm doing a podcast with you now. But I think there's times and places. And I think when somebody is, they have this idea they're just going to set out, but also equally, social media has also highlighted some really bad influencers that are not good at handling dogs. Their grooms are amazing, but the actual handling is atrocious, So you learn from the bad and you learn from the good, don't you? But think, I know, I mean, as a Savvy, we sponsor Groom Team England and we're doing it again this year. Absolutely, there's a place for the competitions. I love them. But not all influential groomers are. You just learn from people that are legitimately wanting to teach you. They're not just trying to get money from you. I think that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
So there's a difference for me. How would anybody get on your course? Can we add that in at the end? Can you link to it?
So I have a website, which again, I think is a great thing for groomers. If you look on our website, we've got a lot of information on there for the customers. A big mistake that a lot of groomers make is they make the website about them. But when a customer comes to your website, they don't want to know about you. They want to know if you can fix their problem. And they're the things that you need to be having on your website. How are you going to fix that owner's problem, and what's the process and the procedure for them to go through to do that? How do they need to email you and stuff like that? So I think that's one of the most important things.
What is the website, Heidi? Do you want to say?
It's www.absolutelyanimals.biz, B-I-Z.
Biz.
Yeah.
I've seen it's .biz, actually.
I know. It's a bit different, but it's good. I mean, we get the traffic.
Well, I know you do. One of the busiest salons I know. So
I do love that on our website, that there's a lot of information for the customers.
Yeah.
One of the things I do, what we can't do.
One of the things I used to do, and used to do them once a month, where I do a pause for thought, where I'd actually do a little talking video for because I'm not one for all the rest of it. And I do a little talking video, only 30 seconds. It might be about, I don't know, ice and snow on dogs' paws and what to do, what not to do. It might be about, being careful at Christmas because all the nice things that we have for goodies end up, hurting your dog. It might be, why it's not good to shave all coats off, and why, guard hairs help to protect against. So whatever it would be, I just think of something. I would normally be triggered, the whatever I would say would be triggered by a question I would have had in the salon. And that they were really popular. Customers really liked that. I mean, obviously I've not got the business anymore, so I don't do them, but it's amazing what customers don't know, and they're so grateful for those little tips because they aren't aware that, they need to comb from the skin out. They aren't aware that using baby shampoo isn't necessarily good for the dog's skin because it's got a high acidity mantle. They aren't aware that walking dogs, even in the evening when it's very, very hot, is not good for them. They don't need it. If the dog wants to go lie down, let it lie down. It's but it's the same with, when you have puppies in the salon and and I don't know if you did this, but I did this in my salon. I do 4 visits. I'd have 3 introductory visits where I'd be assessing the dog all the time. If it was nervous around the dryer, if it was nervous around the clippers, and then you'd give the customer homework, and customers love that because they know you're going their extra mile. You love that dog then for the, normally they move for the duration of the dog's life.
Yeah. Because
you go above and beyond, so it's nice that you do that. So I'd never thought about putting all of that on my own website, actually. But there you go. Top tip from Heidi Anderton. You heard it here first, guys. Work on your websites. So there you are.
Definitely work on your websites.
Definitely. So I'm going to ask you this one now because I like this one. I know it's a bit of an insightful question, but what's your pet peeve in the grooming industry? The biggest pet peeve?
I'm not.
Mine is social media, so we've established that.
I'm not sure I've really got. I mean, I love the grooming industry. I've been in it a long time, and I'd like to see more people support bigger. The Grooming Association. I think a lot of people don't realise that we're on the CFSG and that, we are their voice for DEFRA on things that are in the grooming industry, and that they can really get involved in that and have their voice heard. And if they want to help to improve the industry and working conditions and pay, and even us being seen as professionals, if they can get behind that, the more voices we have, the more we're going to use
we are.
And so, I mean, that's really what I'd like to see, and that's why we started Bigger. It's not my association; it's a voice for the industry, for them just for groomers, So no other sectors or anything, but just groomers to be able to get together and have their voice heard and put stuff together that's going to improve their working conditions and their careers, really, and maybe educate other groomers and educate customers alike as well. I mean, we started the bite register, which was I think really good. And I'm sure Paul is going to take that further on. But, when groomers are getting bitten in the salon, if they fill out that form, so we have a record of it, it can really help them, educate them about how they stand from a legal point of view. And also, if that dog is a biter going to other places and the customers aren't, telling them actually, and they get bitten by that dog, they have a case against that customer. So, we can really use these things in our benefit to support each other and to learn from those situations as well, how we can make sure that doesn't happen again, how we can stop that bite from happening, because, it can
be absolutely life-changing.
A lot of people are getting bitten, groomers are getting bitten, and they're getting bitten on the face a lot, which I hate to see, because, the face is so fragile. It does such a lot of damage, and that's a life-changing wound, isn't it? And
it's not just either. If they catch a muscle or a nerve, it's not just a scar. It's then a paralysis or a disability. You need your hands to groom, and there are customers out there that will groom a heart with dogs that are aggressive. And I know that there are groomer groups where they'll talk about refuse to grooming, and I think they're worth their weight in gold as well. But you have to be very careful about naming and shaming people as well. You can't just put the customer's name up there, but maybe a picture of the dog would work.
We used to do. We've learned a lot about grooming aggressive dogs, and we started off probably having about 10 on the list, and now we have about 50. And actually, over COVID, it increased a lot. But now we work with behaviourist vets as well with these dogs, and we try to rehabilitate them actually back into the session. And a lot of the time, there's actually nothing wrong with the dog. They just need a different routine or a different technique, so a bit more TLC with the understanding of the equipment, the noise of it, or the velocity of the showers, stuff like that. You just change.
Maybe being groomed by a male, not a female, or a female, not a male.
Change these things and you get a different dog. But some of them are so highly aggressive that you really have to put careful things into place to make sure that the groomer is safe, and that the dog's not going to get hurt as well in the process. But they still need to be groomed, so they just can't be put out every 6 weeks or something.
No. Well, no. And the more that you give a dog an anaesthetic, the less you can give the dog an anaesthetic.
Yeah.
So
we work quite a bit with that, and that's really an interesting topic, and interesting results actually that we've got through that with a lot of different dogs. But we do all those naughty dogs because they've got to go somewhere, and actually it's challenging for us, but it's also such a learning curve. So we've learned so much about handling those kind of dogs and meeting the expectations of the customer and the dog as well. But generally, when those dogs are coming to us, they're coming at the end of the day. We're working on them as a one-to-one groomer. But once that one-to-one groomer can do that dog without a problem, we then introduce a different groomer, because then you start getting the problem that only that groomer can do that dog. And then if something happens to that groomer, you're back to square one. Yep. So that's the kind of the process that we use with it.
And it's keeping the notes as well, because if you've got those grooming notes, exactly, you can look back and you can see where there are, potential more problem areas, or where you've, but nothing is more rewarding.
What process to use? Because every process doesn't work the same with every dog. And if you change them, you get completely different result.
And when I broke my ankle in my salon, I had one particular dog that I used to always do, and not because for any other reason than I always ended up doing this dog. It wasn't a request or anything, or, just happened to do it. And when I broke my ankle in the salon and Inga had to take over for me, the dog actually was so used to me grooming it, because you have your very set technique of doing things. You do, you'll do things the same way. She's left-handed. She wanted to move the dog the other way. And the dog just wanted to go the way it's always gone. And it was like, hang on a second, and it was a bit of an aha moment. That's like, actually, we need to change this up, and it's unrealistic expectation as well for the customer to always, if they always want the same groomer. I've had groomers leave the salon because they believe that somebody else has groomed their dog, and it's not. The dog comes in and whoever's available is going to groom your dog. But just because on that day, and people are weird. I don't understand, but you do. It's continuously. I wouldn't say it's challenging, but I think it's continuously evolving when you're grooming a dog that's potentially going to bite you or has been in the past. Any dog, regardless of the dog or the breed, has the potential to bite you anyway, and that should always be factored into the groom.
Yeah.
But when you've got that declared and you know that's coming in, you've got to, don't groom a dog if you know the dog's aggressive and you're a lone groomer. Don't groom the dog, because if it gets you cornered, it's a big dog. You may not get out of that. Yeah, it's like it's.
I mean, if I was on my own, I'd probably never do an aggressive big dog without the owner present or somebody else. I mean, doing it on your own is it's silly, because I mean, you can easily be overpowered by the dog or slip or something, and you can have yourself in a really bad situation. So I've had dogs like that, and now, I mean, if there are big dogs that are coming in that I know have got any aggressive issues, that they're muzzled when they come in, we just won't take any chances with them, because, you never know what's going through their minds at the end of the day, or what triggers them.
You don't know what the triggers are, and it could be anything. It might not be something you do. It might be something that's going on outside. Dogs have got a different hearing, different smell to us. Just because we can't see or hear it doesn't mean they can't see, hear it, or smell it. So you have to factor those things in. I had a groomer that used to rent a space from me, and we had it was a Newfie cross, and it came in, and I didn't want her to groom the dog, and she's like, "No, I'll be fine." And because she was a rented space from me, and I kind of didn't put it into the contract. Again, contract, you learn this as you go on. So I didn't have the contract that they couldn't groom large breeds in my premises without another person being there. And this dog wasn't aggressive, but it was very jumpy. And I'd finished my working day, and I kind of didn't want to leave her. So I was kind of, faffing about as you do. And I'd had that conversation with her and said, I'd rather you not book the dog. And it'd be fine. And I was finishing up my day, and I was doing my notes, typing away on Savvy, doing my notes. And I was kind of keeping one eye on her, sat at the low desk. And as I got up at the desk, and it was just an absolute fluke that I saw her. She was head down doing his trimming around his foot, inside of his foot, right around the table as you do. And as she's doing that, I can see his back foot going, and I'm thinking, what's he going to do? He's going to do something. And he reared up, and as he reared up, the table started with H bar. And if I hadn't leaned and grabbed the H bar, the whole table and the dog would have gone on top of her. Now, she'd have been on her own. She may not have got out of that. I wouldn't have known until I got there the following morning. If you, and it shocked her, and she learned a very valuable lesson. And she didn't do it. She said, "I'm never going to do a big breed of my own again." But it scared the life out of me. But I had to lock my arm. If I hadn't locked my arm, I wouldn't have held it up.
But it's surprising how many chances people take. I mean, we have a lot of health and safety techniques put into our training with our students, and we reiterate it and go over it, and the equipment even that we provide them is really safe for the dog, doesn't scratch skin, doesn't give them burns and stuff like that. And the techniques of them holding the dog and lifting the legs and stuff like that, and how you're going to clip, but then when they go, and I say to them, these are all put in place to for your health and safety,
for your benefit and the dog's benefit.
Then they go away and they do something completely different, and I'm like, but why did you do that? I mean, you've cut the dog because of blah blah blah, but actually you weren't taught that. So why are you doing it? Like, follow the process that you're taught, because that is conducive to good health and safety for you and the dog, and
it's longevity of you, it's longevity of your joints, it's longevity of the dog's journey with you. So you're going to continuously have that revenue from that dog. It just makes sense to do it. And the thing is, Heidi, it's not like as if your techniques aren't tried and tested. Over and over and over again. I mean, when we have people come in for demos, and I always ask the same question, where did you hear about Savvy, and the amount of people that will, have said over the last 2 years, I trained with Heidi, and, we know that you use them, they use them, and it's like, just to hear that positive feedback, that doesn't come from somebody that doesn't know what they're doing, And I'm not dissing other training professionals at all. I just completely and 110% agree with you. Maybe not on social media. But
we take the notes very seriously, because, and it's really important that they're filled in properly, and that the process of that dog is filled in properly. Because, like I say, you can change the process, you've got a different dog, So actually, if the dog doesn't like this, they've got a pain there, all these kind of things need to be written down, because next groom that you do on that dog is going to make it a whole lot easier.
And if you're grooming a dog and you've had that dog for the last, 10 years, right? that dog you started grooming, the process of your grooming will change as it goes through different, phases of its life cycle. You can't lift a dog's leg up to do a tuck up if it's an elderly dog, So you have to learn different techniques, and each dog is very different. Some dogs have medial luxating patellas. If that's happening, you can't lift the leg up like that to shave. You've got to be careful, and you're going to do that, and that's where the information comes into it. I always say the same thing: information is power. Anywhere in life, and it gives you the power to make the right decisions for yourself, your business, for the pet that you have got primary care of at that point. Because the second that dog's handed into your care, that's what you should be doing.
Talking about Savvy, for me, it's a no-brainer. The amount of money that you've got to pay each month, that saves you having somebody on a reception desk.
It's not even a no-show.
No-brainer. I was like, okay, we're doing it. And actually, we have a lot of dogs. It has a lot of stuff in there that it will do to save a lot of time and money. You look a lot more professional. There's so many good things about it. For me, I just wouldn't be without it. And I know
you would have been like me, pen and paper originally. It was pen and paper diary. There weren't even client cards. So it took me a while to learn it. And if I can learn it at my age, anybody can.
It's really good. And we promote it to our students. Maybe, if they're starting off and they're only doing a few dogs, then the record cards is a good way to go. But certainly if you've got a bigger clientele, it's very beneficial spending the money on the Savvy. And we even have it on our website so the customers can book in online, which has stopped our phone ringing end. And so that is one of the massive benefits of Savvy, and which is one of the main reasons I picked it, that they could book online, because I wanted to cut down the amount of phone calls the salon was getting.
Yeah. You can take your salon number off. You could actually have the contact now button on your website with it, so you can literally don't even have your phone number on there. Have your phone number somewhere else if you want it. But if for those customers are just gonna phone you up and not ask you good questions, and then use your time and then not book an appointment, have the contact me now button, and they literally can fill the details in, and you can just give them a ring or send them an email at the end of your day.
Yeah.
I don't want to be answering the phone halfway through a groom, I hate having to call customers in the day just because I'm thinking they're going to be grooming. They probably won't hear me because they're blasting, or they're going to be, cutting around a foot or trimming a tail or, a face, whatever they're doing. It's hard work, and it is consistent hard work as well. It's like a conveyor belt of, So Savvy was a game changer for my business. I know I work for them, and I will always recommend them till the day I die, because I just think they changed the face of my business. They saved me time, and probably the same with you, which saved me money. They gave me the power to be able to keep notes on the dogs, but also on the clients. Those clients that continuously want to no-show. Those clients that continuously want to, come up. I had one particular client who never ever had it was £42 when she first started with me for this groom she was having. She never had the £2. And at the end of the year, I said, well, you actually owe me this much money now. So next year it's going to be £45, just in case you forget your change. She'd be like, but having that information about the client and the dog alike is literally fundamental to helping your business grow.
Definitely. Oh, it is, yeah. There are so many elements, aren't there, to running a good business, and probably too many to put in one conversation, but certainly how you implement the booking system makes a huge difference. But again, it depends how big you are, like how big the business actually is. We still get a lot of calls, and I will say to my staff, look, I'd rather you just left the phone. There's an answer machine, but at the end of the day, they can still have a lot of people to call back, So we try to have enough staff that still somebody can get the phone to minimise that. But, it's a juggling act, isn't it?
Well, not everybody can afford front of house. I couldn't afford front of house. I couldn't afford a receptionist, to take the dogs and hand the dogs over. There's no way I could have done it. The groomers, the dog was on the journey with one groomer the way through. And I know everybody does their own business model differently, but groom picked the dog up, groomed the dog, bath the dog, everything, and then handed the dog back to payment. But everybody's different. If I could have afforded a front of house, I would have. Just couldn't do it.
Yeah.
But we were talking about bigger earlier, and just wanted to recap on that. I don't think people realise either that bigger is a wealth of information as well. There's a lot of stuff within bigger that you can go on to find out, information. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Well, what we wanted to do with the website was to take the view, if somebody's coming into the grooming industry and they don't know where to go, then we wanted to give them a open and balanced view of the industry, to say, these are the competitions you can go to. These are the qualifications that are available on the National Qualification Framework, which means that, they're the ones that are really recommended. You've got grooming schools on there. You've got groomers on there so people can find a groomer. There's news articles on there and everything. So, and inside the website, there's a members section. So you get discounts off of certain companies.
I had discount from, I think it was insurance when I first joined Bigger. I mean, I'm not part of it anymore. Anymore. I mean, I am part of it, but I'm not, I'm not subscribed, if that makes sense. But yeah, I got discount. I can't remember which insurance company it was, but that was when you first started. And I had my little sticker in the window.
Yeah. I mean, I think somebody went through that insurance and they got about £600 cheaper.
I did. I got
their £50 membership, So actually, that was a fantastic member benefit, And I hope really when Paul is going to bring some new life into it and be advertising probably a lot more all of these things that Bigger are doing, But there's lots of benefits that we put into it. We didn't want to put any things like £20 off your phone bill or something, that kind of stuff. We wanted to actually
business related,
more educational and, point them in the right directions, if you're employing staff, for me, you need to be a member of the Federation of Small Business. There's no point in us trying, as a grooming association, trying to mirror that. We can't mirror that for the amount of money that is and the benefits you get from it from proper.
And they also offer discounts on other things as well. So when you join them, they offer discounts within their own
place and everything. I say to people, if you're going to employ people, you need to be a member of them because
back in the day when I first had contracts drawn up, I think they cost me about £200. That was a long time ago to have both employee and contractors contracts written up. But there's so many, the legislation changes so quickly, so it is worth joining it, definitely.
They have all those templates. And you just have to modify them to your own kind of needs. You've got solicitors on tap on the phone, accountants on tap on the phone. If you get investigated by the Inland Revenue, you get a free accountant to support you for a year or something like that while the investigation takes place. I mean, there are so many benefits from it.
It's not that expensive either. It isn't.
Not that expensive, no.
No. And, but join Bigger, guys, because I can tell you for nothing, it is worth it.
It's £50 a year. So, you can also get involved and, you can get involved at the core of the association if you want to and bring any expertise that you've got to benefit the association and the industry as well. Do
you work out what that is per week? So 20. So, well, it's not a lot, is it? It's pennies. It's pennies per week to do that. Absolute pennies to join it. And there's a plethora of information on it, so do join it. So we're digressing
you get stickers as well. You get to do the certificate of good practice, which is going to be changed every couple of years, which is fantastic because when we put that together, we went through all of the bigger codes of conduct. And so it ranges from animal welfare to legislation and even to customer situations, what would you do in that? And then there's, choices that you can make and you've got to get 100% to get the certificate, but you can keep going back and doing it again if you want to. But we wanted to make it an educational event so that actually people were learning by doing it and that they were being enlightened to all these different things and maybe what they shouldn't be doing and get them to think a little bit more about what they're doing and how they're implementing things in their own salon so that they are actually coming over more professional and knowledgeable as well.
Yep. It's hard. No, becoming a business owner does not prepare you for all of the customers you're going to face, and you will face every type that there is,
And people are so much more on that stuff now. I mean, when I started, we train people completely different to how we were trained, but we actually, put all of this stuff into it as well, so that they're really thinking about how they're presenting themselves and their business and the longevity of their business. I mean, there's a lot of business stuff in it as well, but also we're also looking at people that are employed, because not everybody wants to be self-employed. A lot of our students want to go and work for somebody. And quite frankly, some go to places and they're horrified, and they come back and they're like, "You've spoilt us." I mean, that's not what's going on out there. This isn't what's going on, which is a bit sad, really. But there are lots of students who want to be employed, and groomers really need to think about that if they want to grow their businesses. Because if I could go back and do it again, I'd have employed people a lot sooner. Because I burnt myself out many times by trying to do it all. And actually, it's impossible to do it all. But actually, that team of people supports you and helps you and brings that business forward. And I think as long as you treat them well and pay them well, they'll stay for a long time. Apart from my children, I've had I've been there over 10 years.
Well, that leads me nicely to my next question, because I know that you're taking a step back. Like me, you've just gone, enough is enough. There has to be an end game somewhere. So I know that your family have followed firmly in your footsteps, So how does that dynamic work for you now? Because I know you've stepped back and given your hands over a bit more. How's that working for you?
It's actually going really well, because obviously Christine, my daughter, was the first one to come in with me, and my two sons were, they used to say, "Oh, we don't never want to go to that shop. The hairs." They couldn't stand it. And Callum came for 2 weeks while he was on holiday from school, and he said, well, he actually came for a day. He said, "I'll come and spend the day with you, Mum, all right, just so you can spend the day with me." And he spent the whole 2 weeks, and at the end of the 2 weeks he said, "Nope, I love it, this is what I want to do." And we were all like, "Oh no."
Okay.
And so as soon as he left school, he was in there starting, and we put him through the training course, and now actually he's done his grooming qualifications, he's done his teacher training. He's now competing, and he's in the champion. Competing. He's teaching, and he's a fantastic teacher as well, and Christine. And they're both taking the reins. We've opened a cat shop since then as well. So
you were saying earlier, it's just a few doors down, isn't it, from the actual?
It's just a few doors down from the dog grooming shop. So we were doing cats 1 day a week in another room in the salon, then 2 days a week, then 3 days a week. And it was just so packed in there and busy. I thought, well, something's got to give, So do we open another dog grooming shop? Do we open a cat grooming shop? So, another unit came up. So I thought, okay, we'll bite the bullet and we will open a cat-only grooming school there. And actually, it's fantastic. I mean, we're having, we've got people coming from France and Scotland and Ireland and all over the place for cat grooming courses, and we probably groom about 40 cats a week.
So, how did you get into cat grooming?
Well, we basically just started because somebody would say, "Oh, my cat's got some knots, can you cut them out?" So that's what we do. But it never really sat well with us, sending them out, just cutting the knots out and then sending them home. So, we started to learn a little bit more about cat grooming, and then we've kind of more devised our own kind of strategies with them. And it's just grown from there, really. And we wanted to offer it as a proper service. I want them to go out with clean coats and looking nice as well, not just getting the knots out and groom it through, So we were doing a lot of summer shave downs, line clips, that kind of stuff. But now we've opened the cat grooming shop. I offer them a £55 deal if they come within every 8 weeks. So if it goes over 8 weeks, they go back to the minimal price. But under that, we'll do a wet wash or a dry wash for £55. And now we're hardly getting any line clips.
Really?
Yeah. And that is the big telltale of this, is that actually that animal welfare problem has gone away, because we're educating the customers and we're offering a service for those cats to come in on a regular schedule, because actually those people with those long-haired cats, a lot of the time they want them with the long hair. They like that. They just can't do them for different reasons, or they haven't got the time or the inclination, and that's okay, because that's why we're there. Same with the dogs, I mean, since I've kind of stepped back from actually grooming and I'm watching the team do stuff, I can really see some of the problems they're having, and I don't want them to be stressed. So one of the things that we did was to stop brushing out. So if somebody wants a longer cut on their dog, 6 weeks is too long. They bring them in every 3 weeks. So every 3 weeks we'll just bath and dry it, do any little tiny things that need doing. And the coat is fresh, it's kept clean. And so 3 weeks after that, it'll be bath and dry and the haircut. And those dogs look fantastic all the time. And the way to sell it, I'll say to owners, you won't have to brush your dog. Really? Put me in 3 weeks' time. I'll have a dog that's looking great all the time. I don't have to brush it. And that's it. And now, we don't get those problems with those dogs. We don't get the arguments with the customers. We don't get the dogs not being happy with being groomed because
they associate negativity with it.
The dog's in good condition. And really, I think whatever you're kind of using, whatever products you're kind of using, when it gets to 4 weeks without a bath and dry, the dog's matting up. It's knotting up, And so then it becomes uncomfortable. That some dogs, you can sit there and brush, they'll be all right. But others, you pull a tiny little hair and they'll scream the place down, So I don't want to get to that point. But mostly, as well as it being easy for the dogs, I want it to be easy for the staff. I want them to enjoy doing grooming, and I want them it not to be such a stressful job for them. And I think that's one of the fundamental things that we've changed to avoid it being stressful for the staff. And the customers will
level down, not happy. We need to cut that all down there, not a thing.
And it makes grooming nice again. It really does. And if they're, I say to them, you're not brushing out. You thin them out, you cut them out, or you clip them out, cut it down, but we're brushing out like we were taught. That is old hat. It's gone out the window. We don't teach that.
It's cruel.
Every single dog goes in the bath first, and it makes a huge difference to them. It really does. So there are key things that you can change to actually make a better relationship with the customer, and a better relationship with the dog, and a better relationship with your staff, because you're looking after them.
A happy business model grows, so you can pay your staff what you want to pay them.
That's right. Yeah.
Well, you're here to hear first, guys. Make sure you get onto one of Heidi's seminars as soon as possible. And if you want to go and do some formal qualifications, do it there. And that would be for cat grooming or for dog grooming. But I can't cat groom, so I'm highly allergic to them. Otherwise, I've done that because I think it's quite a lucrative business now.
I think it is, yeah. I mean, usually they're starting, I think, at £65 for a short-haired cat. So we go from the 65 to 160. I mean, it probably does maybe average about £90, £100 for a cat.
How long would it take you to groom that cat? How long would it take you to groom a cat?
Well, some can be half an hour, some can be an hour and a quarter maybe, but we probably
not even in a dog for an hour and a half because they don't charge enough. It's mad. Yeah. That's a whole new podcast, though. That's a whole other podcast. We'll do a pricing one again. I'm going to ask you the last two questions, though, and I know you don't know these, so I'm going to ask you this. Okay. So, you ready? If you had to go onto a desert island with a pet of your choice, what and a coat type of your choice, what pet would you choose, and why would you choose it? So,
if it was a desert island and I didn't have a pair of scissors, it would be something without hair.
You might have tools in a minute. So what would you choose? Generally,
I'd probably take my dog with me. I'd probably take my poodle with me. I mean, she's white, so she'll reflect the sun, so it'd be all right.
So if you could take one grooming tool, be that a brush or a comb or anything you want to, and one product, what would you take and why? And you can name a product if you want to. There's no... I'd
probably take a pair of clippers because I'll probably be clipping it quite short.
People have said clippers. Other people have said everything else, but yeah, go on, clippers, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can probably do everything with a pair of clippers.
Yeah. And what product would you take? What product would you take? And it could be a multi-purpose product you can use on yourself as well if you want to.
Probably a conditioner.
A conditioner?
Yeah. A leave-in conditioner.
Well, if your hair gets fed, you can shave your own hair off if you get fed up. If you've got clippers, can't you? But yeah.
Let's hope I don't get to be on a desert island with my dog.
I know, I hope you don't. And if you do, I hope there's like lots of bars and pools.
Yeah.
Yeah. Heidi, it's been an absolute pleasure. chatting to you. I absolutely admire you. I think you're one of the best people in the industry in the UK. I really do genuinely mean that with my very big heart. So thank you for joining us. I know we're going to have you back on again. We're going to talk about bigger a bit more when Paula's all in situ and she's doing what she needs to be doing. So I'm looking forward to that one as well. And we'll definitely have you back on again if you want to talk about business models and pricing, because I think that's something that...
And maybe cat grooming.
And cat grooming, yes.
Yeah. Cat grooming is getting to be quite a big thing.
Yeah, well...
It's a great add-on.
Christine Villani over in America and Florida, she's just done a master cat grooming qualification. She's been grooming cats, and she would rather, it's really funny because Joey, her husband, hates grooming cats, rather groom dogs. She hates grooming dogs, rather groom. No, I say hate, would prefer, their preference would be. And she's saying about the money to be made in it is absolutely, she's done what you've done. She's opened a groomers just for cats. So
I love doing the cats, and I've got to say probably 95% of them are pretty good. But I do always make sure there are two people. I just feel it's such a easier way to process it, that you can have one person reassuring and holding while the other does the work. It just makes it so quick, you know. For that,
for the money that you're charging, it's feasible as well to do that because you've got enough money coming through the door. Yeah. I mean, if you imagine taking like £90 then, if on average for every half an hour to 45 minutes, if you can support doing that, you can get through quite a lot of cats in a day.
I mean, the thing is, we do more than one cat once, you know, so when one's in the dryer, we'll be doing another one, you know. So, you know, whether it's just going, now we've got 2 dryers because one wasn't enough. But the dryers are fantastic as well. I mean, there are so many great things about it. So, yeah, it's definitely a great podcast and an interesting subject.
All right. Well, maybe we'll get you back in for the end of this one, for the 6 we're doing then. Maybe we'll get you back in for the cat one. That'd be good.
Yeah, good.
I mean, I don't groom cats, so I'll just sit here quietly. No, that's never going to happen.
Yeah, good. No, it's a good thing to talk about.
Thanks. Really. Honestly, appreciate it.
It's been a pleasure.
All right, take care. Bye now.
Thank you. Bye.
Myself and the team hope you've enjoyed the podcast, and if so, leave us that elusive review via your podcast provider. And if you'd like to know more about Savvy and our booking software, visit us online at savvypetspa.com. Thanks for joining. Catch you next time.